My dear friends, welcome to another episode of the Shema Podcast. Today I wanted to do a roundtable discussion on Purim. It is the time of joy. It is the time of recognition that while Hashem is hidden in the world, He is always orchestrating events for the benefit of us, the Jewish people. When Mashiach arrives, all the festivals will be nullified except for the days of Purim. We will no longer need to remind ourselves of past miracles. As in the times of Mashiach, we will have total clarity of everything throughout the history of us as a people and for us in our individual lives. So you can see it is quite fitting that Purim is the final holiday before the new year for the Jewish people, which is Nisim, next month. If you look at the course of the holidays throughout the year, you can see why they are a build-up to Purim and how they follow the history of the Jewish people throughout time. Nisim is the beginning of the year for us. It is our Genesis. It is the time when Hashem freed us from Egypt, or in our individual lives, He frees us from a limited mindset, just like He did back during the times of slavery, where we had a very limited mindset, and we still do that to this day. Like when I had Rabbi Cohen on talking about his book, The Jewish Guide to Manifesting, the idea is that we want to free the mind, think with an unlimited mindset of what all is possible. And with that limited mindset, we can begin to count the Omer, to count up the 7 weeks leading up to Shavuos, knowing that what is necessary in order to forge us into a vessel to receive Hashem's kindness that He's trying to bestow upon each of us. We work internally. We spend the 7 weeks refining our 7 midot, 7 character traits, aligning them with that of our Creator. And that is what forges us the unlimited mindset that anything is possible, with refining our inner qualities so we can step into Shavuos and receive His wisdom, the Torah, to receive His goodness and His blessings that He desperately wants to bestow upon each of us. And when we get to Rosh Hashanah, the new year for the world and all of mankind, we begin our political campaign to let the world know that Hashem is the King. He is the only King of this world. And then we do further refinement to connect to our Creator, but this time it's an external work, not an internal work like between Pesach and Shavuos. Now we're looking out at the relationships we have in our life. What did we did to harm them? How can we fix them? We ask for forgiveness, resolve to never do things again that harmed in any way any of our fellow Jews. And then we turn to Hashem and look at the things we did to harm our relationship with Him. And we ask for forgiveness and cleanse ourselves of everything we've done to hurt in the external world our relationship with our fellow Jew and with our Creator. And with that cleansing brings Sukkos, where we sit in the sukkah, in that structure, knowing that we are once again, just like in the wilderness, right there with this deep connection to our Creator and an awareness that everything we have in our life or have ever had came directly from Him. And then when we get to Hanukkah, we stop and recognize the revealed miracles that He has done for us throughout history. We see so many of them today that He has done in Israel, protecting the Jewish people from our enemies. And we've seen this throughout the history of the Jewish people. And then we get to Purim. And this is really the most emblematic of what our entire lives have been like. So many years have faded by since we received the Torah at Mount Sinai. Clarity has been diminished. Hashem has hidden Himself more and more. And that is why we become joyful on Purim, to recognize that even though Hashem is hidden, that he's always behind the scenes. He's always orchestrating everything for our benefit. And when we see things happening in the world that seems like they are going against us, collectively as a people or in our own individual lives, we train ourselves to be joyful, because what seems like something that may be bad for us, Hashem flips the script at the last minute, always changing things. Even though we didn't see where it was going to come from, we train ourselves to recognize. Then the end, everything he ends up orchestrating is for the good. And this is all apparent in the mitzvos that we do on Purim. We hear the Megillah read, the story where Hashem's name is hidden, and all these events unfold in this point in time where it looked like the end for the Jewish people. In the last minute, behind the scenes, Hashem orchestrates, that is Haman, that ends up being hung from the gallows. And we learn from Queen Esther, as Mordecai told her, Hashem is going to orchestrate these events in the favor of the Jews regardless. It's already been decreed. The question, he told Queen Esther to decide for ourselves, and one that we have to decide for ourselves, is, are you going to take the role in revealing Hashem in the world? We all have this responsibility. We can step back and let others do it for us, or we can take our active role. We drink and we feast. We get intoxicated. What happens when you get intoxicated? You come to a recognition that you're not in control. This is the most important lesson that Hashem wants us to learn. We are not in control of the events happening around the world. He wants us to let go and be joyful, knowing that he is in control. That is why we combine this buildup of joy during the month of Adar, and then we get intoxicated, knowing we have no idea how things will work out in our lives, or collectively as the Jewish people. What will happen to Israel? We don't know, but what we do know is Hashem is in control, and he loves us, and it's going to turn out in our favor. We give meals to those in need. We give tzedakah without questioning the person and assessing whether they actually deserve it or need it. We align ourselves with Hashem, who gives to all of us when often we don't deserve it. We dress up in costumes. And the halakha with this is that we're not supposed to dress up like the characters of Purim. We're supposed to dress up like non-Jews. What is the lesson we are teaching ourselves? We're teaching ourselves what Hashem wants to instill in us, is that when we act like non-Jews, when we don't fulfill the mitzvos, don't act in an appropriate way, we are human, he wants to remind us that those times when you acted like a non-Jew, that's not who you are. It was just a costume you were wearing. At the heart of who you are, when you remove that costume of that poor behavior, that's who you really are, and Hashem wants to instill that in us. Remember that. The bad behavior, just take it off like a costume. Don't cling to it. Just move forward. It's a very powerful holiday. You know, Yom Kippurim, when you translate it, it actually means the day like Purim. Yom Kippur, or Yom Kippurim for the Day of Atonements, actually means that Yom Kippur is like Purim. That's why Purim is the holiday that will hold in the times of Mashiach. So with that introduction, my friends, I wanted to bring on my audience, open it up for discussion. I do want to remind my audience that you all made a promise to put aside your differences. That is an important idea here at Purim. To put aside your differences and come sit around the table with me, and we can discuss the ideas of Purim and explore them together.
Welcome to the Shema Podcast, the podcast for the perplexed, where Torah insights intertwined through personal stories as well as interviews with leading Torah scholars demonstrate the empowering qualities of Torah and mitzvot. Now to the show.
So who would like to go first? Let's just open it up. Whoever wants to share a comment, question, speak up. Okay, Mr. Biden, please.
What I like most about Purim is how everyone dresses up in scary costumes and goes door to door asking for candy.
No, actually, Mr. Biden, you are confusing Purim with Halloween. These are two distinct holidays. We don't celebrate Halloween. But you bring up an interesting point to allow me to clarify more what Purim is about. We don't teach our kids to go out and ask to take. What we are training ourselves and our children to do is to be givers like Hashem. That's why we give gifts to our friends. We give money for meals to those in need. Many children go out on behalf of their parents and deliver the gifts to their friends, or go out and ask for tzedakah for a charity they are trying to support. So we're teaching our young children to be givers and not go around and panhandle and ask for handouts.
Dan, this is just like what I am doing with tariffs. It's my way of giving tax cuts to the American people.
President Trump, with all due respect, tariffs are not tax cuts. Tariffs are taxes on the people of the United States. It is citizens and businesses that pay the tariffs to the U.S. government. It is not foreign corporations. They do not pay any tariffs. It is us. So please quit saying that tariffs are tax cuts and that it will cause other countries to pay the U.S. lots of money. Let's only speak emes on this matter from now on. Please, I beg you.
But Dan, I thought one of the mitzvahs on Purim was to drink to the point where we are unable to distinguish between a blessed tax cut and a cursed tax increase.
No, that is not why we drink. We drink to recognize that Hashem is in control and we are not in control. The idea is to be able to reach a point of inebriation to where we can't distinguish between blessed is Mordecai and cursed is Haman. And this is to teach us that even events that seem negative are ultimately part of Hashem's greater plan, just like the downfall of Haman led to the salvation of the Jews.
Cheers to that. I've been drinking since the election.
Well, the mitzvah to drink and become intoxicated is not something that we do until the Purim holiday begins. But I appreciate your enthusiasm to perform the mitzvah.
Also, Dan, I think I need to clarify this for the others as they are not getting what you're saying. I get it. As my husband, Dougie, is Jewish, the deeper reason for dressing up in costumes is to remind ourselves that none of us really know what gender our children will end up deciding to be.
No, Kamala, that is not why we wear costumes. Again, it is to remind us simply when our behavior is out of line with Hashem's will, which is actually our true inner essence. Our neshama wants nothing more than to fulfill Hashem's will, that when we act out of alignment with that, to take off the costume of that identity and move ahead. Any other comments? Okay, Barack Obama, please. You have the floor.
Hey guys, I think what Dan is trying to say is that Hashem hides himself the way Elon hides his baby mama's birth control.
No. It is nothing like that.
No, Barack, it's more like how the Democrats hid billions of dollars of taxpayer money to allocations to USAID that channeled them back to Democrats.
And no, Elon, it's not like that either.
Okay, Dan, I think I now understand. It's more like what Bill is guilty of doing, where he would drink so much on Jeffrey Epstein's island where he could not distinguish whether he went to his room with Hillary or another woman.
No, it's not like that. No matter how much I drink, I know the difference. But your allegations are not true. It really depends on what the meaning of the word is.
Bill, please stop talking.
Ladies, gentlemen, please, let's get back to the idea here at Purim. With the idea of Hashem hiding himself and the reason we drink. And quite frankly, not to be disrespectful to any of you, but the Jewish people need to know that, and the point of this holiday is that you guys, while you think you are in control with your political influence that you have, you're actually not in control. It is only Hashem that is controlling world events. And whatever you do, he is allowing you to do. And the end is always going to be in the best interest of the Jewish people.
Excuse me, what show is this again? Are you Rachel Maddow?
No, Joe. While we have a similar haircut, I'm Dan Coleman, and this show is called the Shema Podcast for the Perplexed.
Hey, Joe, why don't you let me drive us home?
Barak, I think that may be a very wise idea. I don't know how productive this roundtable was, to be quite honest with you guys, but I think this final message that it is Hashem in control and not all of you guys, no disrespect, but I think that message alone is something that will bring my fellow Jews much joy this Purim.